All right, everybody. It's Mrs. Reynoso back with another read aloud. This story is called Nine Colored Deer, and this is by Kaylin Duan. And this story is a Buddhist folk tale that has been retold. And the pictures are beautiful. You can see the beautiful brush strokes. And I'm going to get started so we can read this beautiful book. Okay, Nine Colored Deer. Kaylin Duan, translated by Jeremy Tiang. A very long time ago, deep in the Kunlun Hills, there lived a mystical deer. Her antlers were white as snow, and her fur had 9 different colors in it, so she was called the Nine-Colored Deer. She lived with her companion, a little bird, deep in the stillness of the forest, in a place no humans knew about. One day, while roaming through the hills, the Nine-Colored Deer heard a cry for help. Coming from a lake deep within the hills, someone was drowning. You can see the expression on the Nine-Colored Deer's face and her little bird friend. She ran towards the voice, through the wilderness, over the hills, and across the winding river. In the center of the lake, a young man struggled, about to be swallowed by the water. The Nine-Colored Deer sprang across the lake, leaping wave to wave until she had reached him. Together they stepped lightly over the waves. The young man cried, "How can I ever repay you for saving my life, O noble deer?" "All I ask," said the deer, "is that you tell no one of my whereabouts. Now hurry on home." With that, the Nine-Colored Deer disappeared back into the forest. The young man returned home and didn't breathe a word about what happened to him. That is, until the news arrived from the imperial palace. So the imperial palace is where the emperor, the royalty of China live. The king's beloved wife had been looking unhappy. Tenderly he asked her, "My queen, what is it that troubles your heart?" You can see the queen looking sad, her expression on her face, and the king asking, and all of the men and women of court waiting. "A few days ago," the queen replied sadly, "I dreamed of a magical deer with 9 colors in its fur. Such a deer must surely have great powers, a magnificent prize to help our kingdom prosper. Can you find one?" "Is that all?" said the king. "That shouldn't be too difficult. I'll summon my entire kingdom to help you find this deer." Posters were plastered across the land seeking the 9-colored deer. When the young man saw the promised reward, he thought only of what the money would mean to his poor family and forgot all about his promise to the deer. And if you remember, the promise to the deer was that he would not tell anyone where the deer was located. The king and queen were delighted to hear what the young man had to say. "The 9-colored deer has magic powers," said the young man. "You'll need to bring an army with you to capture it." The king set forth with a large company of soldiers and horses, with the young man in front leading the way. The sky darkened as they crossed the plains and went deep into the hills, startling the watchful little bird. If you remember, that little bird was the 9-colored deer's friend. The little bird flew frantically back to the nine-colored deer, waking her from her nap, but it was too late. There was no time to hide. The king ordered his troops to surround the nine-colored deer and the little bird. They lifted their bows, took aim, and fired. The arrows flew toward the nine-colored deer, but before they could reach their target, a dazzling white light blossomed around her, forcing the king and his men to shield their eyes. When they looked again, the arrows lay scattered and broken on the ground. Then the nine-colored deer said to the king, I am the guardian spirit of this place. If you kill me, your kingdom will suffer an unimaginable, awful fate. The young man tried to hide behind the soldiers, but the deer spotted him and said, Sir, I saved your life when you were drowning. Is this how you pay me back? Horribly ashamed, the young man knelt and begged for forgiveness. I'm so sorry, kind dear, the young man cried, and he never broke a promise again. The king rode home and told his wife what happened. Thank goodness, said the queen, we almost made a terrible mistake. Together they ordered that no one should ever harm the nine-colored deer again. Over time, a mystical herd of deer has begun to appear among these hills. They all have nine colors in their fur. As always, the little black bird watches over them, and the country continues to flourish to this day. Okay, I hope you very much enjoyed the story. This is just a translator's note at the end of the book, so I wanted to read it out loud to you so that you get a little more information about this wonderful story. Translator's note: rendering the story into English was only one of many types of translation that bring you this edition of Nine Colored Deer, a story with a long history. Even as I worked from Kaylin Duan's vivid text, I was aware that she had translated the illustrative style of this tale from one of the Mogao paintings in Dunhuang, China. This particular wall painting, dating to over 1,000 years ago, was in turn inspired by a Buddhist Jataka tale from India. All in all, from the very first iteration of the story to this version, roughly 2,000 years have passed. The nine-colored deer is certainly a very long-lived, if not immortal, to have lasted all that time. The queen in the story might have been right about the deer's great powers. The Chinese scholar Yu Qiu says that to see the Mogao caves is to witness not a specimen that's been dead 1,000 years, but a life that has flourished for a millennium. Although some of the wall paintings in these grottos are over 1,500 years old, others only appeared after that, layer by layer, and these images were constantly being added to, restored, and expanded, growing into a living entity that breathes, metabolizes, ages, and spawns new generations. From this wealth of myth and legend, Kaylin Duan has chosen one tale to bring to new readers. Her evocative illustrations are clearly influenced by the characteristic style of the original cave painting, while also being infused with a spirit all their own. While the Mogao caves might now be preserved as relics, it seems we are still capable of building upon the images within them. I hope you will enjoy the story of the nine-colored deer. Long may her spirit live on. I really hope you enjoyed that story and the beautiful paintings and the message behind the story, that we must all hold on to our promises and keep our word, as well as show empathy for others and other humans and other living things. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.